would hope I'm here. Yeah, okay. Leo can hear me. We're good. So,
Great.
you know what? Here, that's the first hard-hitting question. As a, I guess you could call yourself a. For the record, uh, introduce yourself to everybody watching if they don't already
Oh,
know who you are.
my name is Kemp. I'm the creative director at Atomic Mass Games. Contrary to popular belief, that means I do not paint all the miniatures you see on the box because I get that question a lot. But what I do is I actually oversee all the sculpting, all the 2D art, all the miniature painting, all the videos, all the concepts, uh, and probably something else I'm forgetting. That's what I do. Is like I kind of oversee the design, sculpting of all the miniatures, the painting of all the miniatures, and the 2D art. So all the really cool command cards and character cards and stuff like that. All the cool art.
Nice. And
But I have painted studio miniatures, so don't let me fool you. If you've seen a Grogu on a box, I painted the Grogus.
all the various Legion Grogus. I think there's like four of them.
There's three.
Three?
There's the little teacup, there's the little hand, and then there's the frog
Oh,
in the mouth.
all right. I thought there were. Well, were there three in the Hobby Next, or was there only two in the Hobby Next? And
Two in
obviously,
the hobby next and one with Din. Yeah.
okay. So that's my ongoing issue, which I'm sure is the ongoing issue of every mini painter, is that
Hmm.
I have a massive backlog, and because you do this more or less professionally,
Hmm.
it's on you to tell us what to do about that and how to live our lives as the authority figure here.
I always say like what's the phrase that gets thrown around the communities like the pile of shame.
Yeah,
Like I'm
I
a firm believer in pile of potential.
that I learned that because I found a website called Pilot Potential that I've been using to track my mini painting
Oh,
progress, and it actually, uh, you know what? I have all my Shatterpoint stuff logged in there,
hmm,
and so it tells you it's made for like Warhammer or something. So it's got like army points or things that don't matter. But it looks
yeah.
like a total of 178 models, and I've got 122 of them complete, which is according to this I'm 68.5% uh painted on every Shatterpoint thing, not
Hey,
counting the terrain.
that's a better percentage than my Shatterpoint percentage. My Shatterpoint percentage is much lower. My MCP percentage is like I think I'm like 92% fully painted for every release. Legion, I have four armies, something like that. Because I have Shadow Collective. I just started Empire, which I have a fun little. So you know you have like the AT-ST with the Marquand, right?
Uh huh.
Usually goes in there. I converted a little stormtrooper to be.
Oh,
So I got a little tank commander that's
yeah.
gonna once I get him painted, he's gonna pop in there and be the commander of my AT-ST.
That's one of my favorite trooper variants too. The tank guy.
I love that tank commander helmet, right? Like it's super sleek.
Yeah, my uh I only do the two armies for Legion, although I might start getting into Empire now because I do have um hopefully right after this I'm gonna go do an unboxing with my wife of the uh Empire and Rebel starter sets for
Oh
this.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well I set a goal for myself to get 100% of my Shatterpoint figures painted by I think it was like May or June.
Okay.
But now I'm like, well, now all this cool Legion stuff is coming, and I got to catch up on that and like uh, start painting all my Legion stuff again. And then I don't know if you've played the Battle of Hoth game that Days of Wonder put out last month. It has a number
I
of
haven't played it, but it looks cool.
very small but surprisingly detailed minis, and
Hmm.
that game is a blast. I'm like, well, now I want to paint these too, and maybe I can get away with, just using some kind of like speed paint type thing with these. But it's like there's too many things to paint. So
I mean, I have a lot of things to paint. Like I don't I have I have miniatures from so many different game lines. I play a lot of different games, a lot of different miniature games, and I I'm a espouser of the 15 minutes a day will change your life, right? It's the how do you eat an elephant, right? It's one bite at a time. So I will do a project. I'll be like, okay, so I started this Empire army. Okay, so I can't just start out with Darth Vader, right? Because that's your dessert before your main course, right? So I got to paint those 2 units of stormtroopers first, right? So I get them all built, I line them up, I do a test miniature, right? I get my all my steps written down, and I actually write down my steps, and then I just do those steps. And every single night, I might only do maybe 2 steps on all of them, right? And then I'm like, okay, well now I need to go do dinner, or maybe we gotta go do something with the lady or whatever. So I do my 1 or 2 steps a night, or like maybe on a Sunday, I'll just blow through them, right? Just boom, 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 just knock them all out. Because I'm an assembly line painter. And then I get those 2 units done. And then I may be like, okay, well, now I get to do Darth Vader. But before I do that, I want to paint that new Miles Morales sculpt real quick, right? So I'll paint up Miles Morales because those usually only take me, 3 hours and you get one miniature done. Then I'll jump into Darth Vader. So like, I'm always like tracking and making sure I'm maintaining a constant beat on each project, but like I might add like little projects in between those bigger beats, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Like the
that I think I need to change my shift closer to that because I tend to like pick a thing and then stick with it until it's done. And a lot of times I don't like it's hard for me to just want to be like, oh, I'll throw 15 minutes at this thing because like sometimes that might not even be like a full um uh like base coat of a single color or something depending on the mini where it's like, oh, it's going to take me 30 minutes just to put like the red sections down on this guy. And it's like I
sure.
don't and it's I'm getting better at it because back in the day I would every mini I would do I would complete start to finish and be like, okay, here's 4 hours out of my
Like
Saturday.
even a unit, like even if you had a unit, you would do
A
one
lot of
full
the
miniature.
time, yeah, and especially well, I started with Imperial Assault. That was the first minis I ever painted was Imperial
Hmm.
Assault. I guess technically
Not really
X-wing.
units.
I tinkered with like an X-wing mini here or there, but Imperial Assault was the first like unpainted to painted. I did the whole thing minis that I ever did, and then Legion, and now Shatterpoint, and then I've done some other games here and there along the way. But um,
Moving right along.
yeah, so it's a lot of it has been like, well, I want to get them all done, and it was partially before I had a wet palette, and I'm like, well, I'm making all these very precise color mixtures, and if I leave it for a week, I'm gonna forget what paints I was using and what ratios, and uh, so I think
Secret to
I've been
that, get an empty bottle.
ah
Get an empty bottle. You can get empty bottles on any like website, like and like even like we use Monument paints in the studio.
mm-hmm.
Um, Monument will sell empty bottles on their website, I believe, and do your mixes. Do a full bottle of that mix if it's important, right? I have a color that I call clone juice, and it's the base coat color of all my Legion clone troopers. So I made a whole bottle of it, right?
That
And
sounds really what. So this is going to be really relevant to our audience in particular. Is what is your method for painting stormtroopers, clone troopers, just general white armor? Because, like I said, I started with Imperial Assault, and part of that was why when Legion came out, I was like, I'm only going to play Rebels because I've painted enough stormtroopers. I don't want to paint more.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and so Shatterpoints come out, and those minis on a little different scale. You want to add slightly different details. A lot of people have a lot of different takes on painting their trooper armor, so I want to hear what yours is.
Okay. I do typically start with a Zenith Prime. I like the Zenith priming because what it does, like with this Luke Skywalker, we can paint on him a little bit if we want.
Sure.
It lets me see all the details of him, right? Actually, I can switch it over. I have a camera switch. We can be
Ooh.
fancy today. Can I do this? How do I do this?
Uh.
Up, 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 up. Camera.
Hey. It looks like a close up of your wet palette back there. Oh,
Palette,
nice.
yeah.
Got the fixed focus. I love that mini. I'm really excited to the yellow jacket look was such a great call.
Yeah, it looks so good. So like you can see all the details, right? I can see the shape of his face, I can see his hair, I can see how the shadows, right? And it gives me an idea of the sculpt better than just the single flat black or single flat white. It gives me that volumetric visual information to work from. So with clones, I don't have a clone immediately around, but I do have a stormtrooper that I'm working on. My stormtroopers will not be white. My stormtroopers, I did a paint stream on these last year from the riot control, and this is what all my stormtroopers are going to be like: this dark gray with red insignias and this bone colored armor
That's
shoulder.
awesome. Those are fantastic. I'm gonna
They
have to
look
figure out
creepy,
a
right?
some kind of alt scheme like that for mine as well, because like I don't know if I want just straight up white stormtroopers right now for Legion. We'll see. I might
But when I'm doing
actually.
white,
Oh, go ahead.
oh no,
I'm
go
getting
ahead.
ahead of
Go
myself.
ahead.
The going to be chronicling this journey eventually, but
Mm.
I think I actually mentioned it to you and Simone when we talked in Vegas at Galactics. But I have the aspiration to try and do a little diorama by a time Adepticon rolls around with some Shatterpoint minis. And
Yeah.
to do it, I asked my wife, "Well, do you want to try and like do this, kind of be part of this journey?" And she's painted a few things in the past, and I think she's actually pretty good at it for only having painted like a few things. So I'm like, okay, I want you to get into like terrain painting and that sort of stuff with me. And maybe I can like offload the terrain work on you, and I'll keep working on the Shatterpoint minis, and we can do this diorama together. And she came up with a great solution because she's desperate for me to read this book series she loves that's like 10 books or 8 books or something. I'm like, I don't know if I got time for 8 books in my life right now, a whole series. So we're like, oh, we're going to listen to the audio books while we do
Hmm.
mini hobby stuff. So best of both worlds. And now that the Legion starters came in, I'm like, well, maybe more than just terrain. We'll see how you feel about just making one of these starters your own. So maybe she can come up with some good stormtrooper terrain
Which
scheme.
would be super fun. I'm working on my points of interest right now for my empire as well. So these were actually, you saw these when we were at Galactics. I was working on these. So these would be for my empire. So I made them all dark, and I'm going to put probably some empire logo on there or something, right?
Do you like freehanding those or have like decal paper?
I will freehand them because I'm a monster. I'm a monster. Um, but on the white, I do have these. I know it's not a clone, but it's a stormtrooper painted like a 501st, which is fine.
Yeah, same. That's what we're going for here is how to do white. My original process was what Sarastro taught me all those years ago with Imperial Assault, which I think was
Which is
just
great.
um, I think it was just paint it white, do a black wash, and then like sort of highlight up with gray over that. And I always really liked how the black wash really picked out all the lines in the stormtrooper armor. And
Yeah,
then
it makes it all sharp, right?
and I think I might still do that with Legion with Shatterpoint stormtroopers and clone troopers. I've been doing it a little differently, where I paint all the black parts, and then I've been doing like a white contrast paint, and then doing sort of selective highlights, going from like a light gray to a much lighter gray to a few spots
Hmm.
of white. And I like how that turns out, but it's not like a lot of my transitions could be smoother, I think. And I know Sarastro has evolved his armor painting method over the years, and there's some stuff that I'm like, I don't know if I can achieve that with blending in, the reflective colors on the armor and things like that.
Yeah, he has some really amazing um, tutorials, right? Like, and it has evolved. He's done different versions. My version is I do the zenithal, and then I do a light gray instead of white, and then I just darken up the shadows with grays, and then I start building in some highlights with light grays, and then I come in at the final end of just that pure titanium, and that titanium is literally only like maybe right there on the cheek, right there on the above the mouth, on each side of that blue, right there on top of those little breathers on the head, this side of the pectoral plate,
Mm-hmm.
right there on the top. And it's so if you were to color pick this, right, if you would put this miniature inside Photoshop and color pick it, it would be very difficult to find the whites. It's almost all grays. Um, I like using this. You can see it really well there. This like sort of a clay color. I use that clay color in different places of the armor just to warm it up and
Sure.
remove some of the coolness. Makes it feel alive but not dirty. And if I wanted to make them dirty, um, like I might splash a little bit more mud down in there. But really, it's all about just layering up some grays. These are pretty sketchy. You can see how rough the little lines are because I like painting texturally a lot of times.
I think that also works
Um,
really well with the Shatterpoint minis, which even like the Empire and different ones, I still kind of in my mind they exist in this like Clone Wars animated universe.
it gives them that hand painted style. I mean, they are hand painted, obviously, but it gives them that animated style that is very um, it's very attractive, but also like visually interesting, right? So like you have that gray, and then you got these little sketchy whites, and you got like a little sketchy like slate color. And as long as you're putting the colors, as long as you're thinking about the volumes, right? You're not putting the whites in the shadows, obviously, but you're putting the whites on the tops. As long as you're thinking about the volumes of the shapes, it all blends together, and your eye puts it together, blends it, and is visually it's visually exciting for you, right? It tells like a little story for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to. The last one I painted was I painted Boba Fett because I'm like, man, it's been these bounty hunters have been in my queue for too long. Why haven't I gotten to these? Because the bounty hunter sculpts are so good.
Hmm.
And I did my Boba Fett up in holiday special uh, colors because I'm a sucker
Oh,
for a holiday special Boba, and I had to give him
that's
the
fun.
like the pink Pepto Bismol planet for the
Yeah,
base. I was just missing a spare Amban rifle to mod into his hand, but trying to figure out what to do next because my Republic is almost complete. I think the Bad Batch and the new Commandos are the only Republic figures I have left to paint. But the
it's pretty good.
maybe if I switch to Empire, I've got a lot of like the Death Troopers and Dark Troopers might actually go pretty fast. It's like, oh, this black with some dry brush and some edge highlighting might be good enough. But
Yeah, for blacks, I love painting blacks. I've been doing a like a zenith blue. So I'll prime it black, and then I'll come in. I usually use an airbrush. Um, you don't have to, obviously. Anything that you can do with an airbrush, you can do with a brush. I've even done like 7 airbrush, just dry brush down onto the miniature, and it
okay.
just does the same thing like a zenith airbrush would do. But I'll put some blues in, and then that contrast style of paint, right? Like you can do that with any paint. I make my own mix out of the monuments. So I'll take a little blue, a little black, and I'll mix it together with what they have a glaze wash varnish.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll mix that in there, a little water. And then I'll do glazes over top of that blue black zenith. And it starts to turn the armor pure black, but it has those highlights of blue. And then I come in and I just boop, boop, boop. And I just, let me show you an example of it if you want. I feel like I just need to keep it on the paint, the in focus.
Oh yeah.
So like you can see, like I do, so like a zenith from this side, and I just wash it black until all that black and blue starts to blend together. And then I come through with a little light blue, and you can see like this little ping, ping, scritch. I call them scritches, just those little lines just to pick it out, and it just makes it feel shiny and black with that blue reflection. Then on this side, of course, I need that red reflection because, you know,
Yeah, I think that Vader and the Kenobi from that pack are the only. Um, I went in with the object source lighting on those because I'm like, well, then I'll put it on the scene as well because I'm planning on making mine like
hmm
snow. So I'm like, oh, that could look good on the snow. But I think those are the only two I have done OSL on. A lot of the other ones, I tend to be like, I'm gonna shy away from that just because like
sure,
it looks good when you can do it right, and sometimes I've overdone it in the past. I'm like, well, let's just play it safe. And technically, the original the lightsabers didn't give off light in 4, 5, and 6. It
it
was
did not.
only not even in the prequels. I don't. In some shots, half the shots in the prequels they did, half they didn't, depending
Yeah,
on
I feel like
the
in
scene.
there's more of a. I feel like, wouldn't you say though, if they had the technology to make them glow, they would have.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think it is a technological limitation, not
Right.
a artistic.
Uh.
These don't glow. It and the glow effect looks so cool. Like my favorite scene, like the Obi-Wan and the Vader fight from the Obi-Wan show, when
Mm-hmm.
the when his helmet's cracked and it goes from the blue to the red. Like, man, just I got goosebumps just reliving it. Like it's just
Yeah, my the Vader and Kenobi from that, I was pretty happy with how the OSL turned out on that. But pretty. I was also like, oh, they're kind of like viewing these. They're in like a darker space, so there's more light going to show up.
yeah.
Like with my like Kit Fisto, I'm like, well, I'm kind of picturing him out in the daylight where you're not going to notice that as much. But
It's always like you. I think you're thinking about it right though, right? It's like the darker the scene, the more OSL. And a lot of times, you'll see a miniature and somebody will paint it, and it's got full highlights, right? It's full spectrum highlights. It looks like it's in daylight, but it also has this blast of blue coming from the side. Um, I'm just gonna hog the camera because we're talking about painting. But like here, my Grievous is obviously painted in the daylight. It's got full
mm-hmm.
spectrum colors. There's not a lot of deep shadows, but just that little hints, just very strategically placed. Is it in focus?
Yes,
There's those little hints of color, just enough for your eye to read it and just be real subtle. Just gives it that feeling of something going on and just makes it more visually interesting and cool, right?
yeah,
Without
that's
blowing it out.
trying to
This is
think what
actually
the
probably too
next
intense. That's too intense.
trying to think what the next mini in my list has that I could start practicing on. I got most of the. I don't know if. Uh, I suppose it would be easy with Moff Gideon because the dark saber just gives off white light, so it'd be the same as my regular highlight
It'd be
regimen,
the
just go a
same,
little harder
yeah.
in certain spots. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I think all of my lightsaber characters. Oh wait, no, I have Ahsoka and Vader from the uh
Ahsoka,
what
oh, from the dual pack. That
yeah,
Ahsoka has white saber, so once again, you kind of have like you
yeah,
need like
the
a soft glow, just a little, just a baby kiss of color, of well, not color, white, just a right across her Lekus, or she's doing this, so maybe on the shoulder.
yeah, and then there's that Vader, and then um I was just ogling at the Sarastro just posted those two that
hmm
he painted. And they got that like pink glow on them from the scenery. I'm like, oh, that's maybe the.
It's
I feel like the dark troopers would be a good candidate if there. I just had something in the scenery that was giving off light. I have to see what I based them on because
well,
it's
if you're gonna take the dark troopers, like the you're talking about the Shadow Point dark troopers.
yeah
So you're gonna take them with Moff Gideon or whoever you take them with. Like you could do like just a subtle red glow if you do it from the same side and just keep it real subtle so it's not super blown out. Like it could be really interesting for like your empire, right? Like you have these dark troopers and like somewhere somewhere there's a lightsaber nearby, right?
Sure.
So you have these like little red reflections just ever so subtly on the right side or left side or whatever it is, right? Or just to give them that little frame of color so they're not pure black. I think they would look really good on the table and give them some halo effect, right? To like frame them up and make them distinct.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Just sort of like ambiguous off-screen light source.
Yeah.
The alternative would be if I put them on the bases that have those sort of like imperial
Oh,
what do they
the
call them? The
little
pill
lights.
shapes. Yeah,
Yeah.
like oh, make that red or green or something and underlight them.
I
Which
mean, a red underlight is chef kiss, right? Like
yeah,
that's, and
sounds
if you have an
trickier because a
airbrush,
lot of times when I'm painting, I'm like I don't have to care about the details on the bottom very much because that's where it's darkest and that's where people also then no one's looking at it from the underside.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you have an airbrush, even if you don't have an airbrush, you base coat them red and then zenith black down, and you just
Oh,
it just does it'll just do the job for you.
that's
And then you
a
just
good idea. Mine are
pinch
already
highlight the black.
primed, although I could obviously just reprime them probably. But
Just throw the red on there, it's fine. Just throw red on there and zenith them back. Boom. That'd
hmm,
look menacing because that'd give them that intensity, right? That
yeah,
ferocity of these terribly dramatic robots coming to kick your butt.
the dubstep boys.
They would look good like that. That's actually a cool idea. Stolen. I'm stealing it. Where's my dark troopers? I don't think my dark troopers are built. I'm behind.
Got all my stuff built. Most of it's primed. Some of it's painted.
Here, I'll show you something else I'm working on. Why not? See if Frost.
Oh,
I felt like my stormtroopers needed a standard bearer, so I hand sculpted a standard. Just for fun, right? You know, no game rules, nothing like that. Just and I'll put a Imperial cog on there. But I like doing little scratch builds like these little
yeah.
quick
I
stuff.
one of the ones you're talking about your ATST. Um, I because I didn't play Empire, but I got the re-release of the ATST that included Chewbacca. I went all in on the
Mm-hmm.
making it Ewok. Um, I don't have a. I think it might still be in. I moved about a year ago, and I think it might still be in its like nice little box. I should make sure it didn't break during the move. But I put Chewie coming out of it. But like, well, this is all in on Ewok, so I'm gonna make the base all Endor. And I put I had an extra Wicket mini, and so I redid that as Princess Kinisa and put her on
Oh,
top,
cool.
riding on top, and then put some like vines and brush that were hanging off of it. Like the story I came up with was, oh well, like after the battle, like they just kind of kept this thing and used it for like recreation.
Yeah.
After so the Ewoks rode on it, and I put some graffiti of C-3PO on the side that they
Oh
put on
yeah.
there, and like
Like
really,
they're still worshiping
yeah, some
them.
kind of like religious icon of 3PO's
Yeah.
face with some kind of like sun rays coming off of it. Um,
Oh, that's adorable.
Little Ewok princess on top, and then a bunch of like vines and leaves kind of draped on certain parts of it. I was pretty happy with how that one turned out.
See, and like I love that. I love that personalization of an army, right? It's like, it's that in between the scenes kind of feel that, and something you dreamed about or a story that you want to tell. And like that's the fun of miniatures for me or miniature games is like I get to participate in the story in a way that that I'm sort of the director, I'm the writer, right? So like my stormtroopers are I'm going real heavy on the the right control vibe, right? So I think we'll have an article soon of my stormtroopers, but I've done some conversions to tie normal stormtrooper units to the riot control squad, right? To sort of keep that vibe throughout my whole army. Because I think that that's always interesting to just be like, and then if I wanted a different theme for an Empire army, I would just do a whole new Empire army with a different
Yeah,
theme.
that's the um, question I'm going to be coming up. So all my rebels for Legion from the get were all the bases. I tried making them look like Crate, the salt planet from Last Jedi, because I
Yeah, yeah,
love the visual of the red seeping through the white.
looks
Um,
real good.
Most people get it. Some people are like, "Well, there's a lot of blood on that base." I'm like, "No, it's just it's Crate." Um, and it's simple. It makes you can put the little footprints, like, oh, just have red footprints, or have the ground more disturbed by it if someone looks like they've been standing in place rather than moving. It's a lot of fun, but people mostly liked it. For the F11D turret, I converted like some kind of fantasy fox mini into like the crystal fox to have
Oh
it
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
hanging out with the guys at their turret. And now I'm like, okay, now it's sort of a new era of Legion for me, where a lot of these new minis are coming out. Some of these things are being re-released, and I'm going to start kind of making them all over again. I'm like, do I start like a different theme? Do I go all Hoth? Do I just blend these into my existing one where they still all have these crate bases? And a lot of them had, for a while, I was basing individual units on different characters I like. So, oh,
Right.
these troops, they all have this kind of cohesion where like I picked this gray and orange that almost all of them have, but the rest of them are like, okay, this is like Chopper Squad. These guys have orange
Right.
and green and yellow, and this is Zeb Squad. They're purple and green, and
Right.
this ATRT is Sabine themed, and
They got graffiti all over it.
right, and the guys on the turret, they're R5D4. They're red, blue, and beige or off white, and my T47 was like the Ghost, and I had some decals from the Ghost on there.
Cool.
And so I'm like, okay, this is like, the group, this is, Spectre army. Like, they even,
Right.
Luke, Han, and Leia, they're in on it. They're wearing the colors of these guys. Like, okay, we're working with these guys. We'll wear their clothes. Like, even
Yeah.
my Han Solo, I'm like, under the jacket, he's still wearing Han Solo colors, but the jacket on top, it's like they convinced him to wear their little like team uniform. So I'm
He
like,
got
oh,
it. He got the squad vest, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, do I keep that cohesion going forward, or because like with the new Leia sculpt, it's going to be so hard not to want to just go all in and make her as like film accurate as possible, because it's so you know it looks so good and so Endor, and like it's on the little log. I think she's got a log in her sculpt, and it's like, do I go?
I mean, that
Uh,
could be chopped off. Those are very easy to.
I could put a nice
Like,
red crystal underneath it for crate.
I mean, I did a conversion on. I did a conversion. It's like completely changed
Mm.
what Luke is standing on.
Yeah, I've done.
Did I change what Han is
It's
standing
definitely a
on?
lot easier for me to really go custom in Legion, because I'm like, oh, this is just this kind of Legion. This is my cohesive army. They all kind of live, work together. There's this vague story that it justifies the way they are.
Mhm.
Whereas Shatterpoint, most of mine are basically, well, I want to paint them to look screen accurate for the most part. Like Dooku,
Right.
I changed because I'm like, he's just brown on brown. We're gonna give him a red cape. Same with Grief Karga. I'm like, he needs a more interesting outfit.
Yeah, a little color, a little splash, a
Right.
little
So I
little
go out
something.
sometimes, but for the most part, I'm like, oh, just let's see how close I can get to making them look the way they're supposed to. I've done. I think that my favorite customizations for Shatterpoint were I took the Gonk Droid from the terrain pack and
Hmm.
swapped Sabine's explosion for the Gonk Droid. I shaved his heels off so he was leaning backwards. So
I was like,
she's kicking off a Gonk Droid that's covered in graffiti, and then
gonks never get respect, do they?
well, I do have large, like 1/6 scale gonk that I will be converting into terrain, and it's almost exactly the right height of level 2 terrain for Shatterpoint.
Hmm.
So it like meshes with the existing terrain really well, and it's just a matter of, am I going to paint it to look like a statue or like just an extra large gonk, like it's not a monument or
I,
anything?
I like the monument to Gonk, but
Because
I'm a sucker for
all of
Gonk.
my Shatterpoint terrain is like Droid City. A while back, I made a monument to Chopper for Legion terrain, and then
Hmm.
I got some 3PO and R2 figures that I painted to be all patina, verdigris. What they kind of just look like the Statue of Liberty with that
Sure.
weathering, and so that's kind of the whole vibe of all of my Shatterpoint terrain. And I just keep finding more droid things to incorporate. So I'm like, oh, we need a gonk in there, and it's got a flat top, so you can actually play
You
on
can
top of
stand the
it.
miniatures on
Right?
it. Yeah, it's playable.
Yeah, my
I'm
my.
the worst person to ask if you should start a new army because I'm a firm. I because like I've been doing this since '92, so I've been doing this a long time, building armies, and I'm always if I have an idea for a theme, I reset, right? Like I'll keep the old stuff, but like now I have this contingency that I build that's this is this theme, right? So if you have an idea for a theme, build around it.
I
Like,
mean, right now it's I just kind of like, oh, I just kind of want to go all in on Hoth because I still have an unopened T-47 that I've been sitting on for years. I've got an unopened Echo Base, uh, the Battle Force box,
right? Yeah.
and right now that Battle of Hoth game came out. The intro Battle Hoth for Star Wars Unlimited is coming out in a month. I got Hoth brain right
You get
now.
yeah, you got Hoth on the mind.
The Tauntaun Rider mounts are coming out soon.
It would be fun to do some conversions like Cassian with a Hoth hood, right? Like
Yeah,
sculpt the little hood up and the fuzzy brim and um it could be a lot of fun to do some conversions to bring some of those characters that's not associated with Hoth but into the Hoth vibe. Or I think even the new commandos, the new rebel commandos and troopers could with a little sculpting, not a lot, and trust me, sculpting fuzzies around a head is like the easiest
I
sculpt.
could do that. I
Yeah,
can do fuzzies, and I can do like a cape now and then.
all that stuff, and once it's painted up, would fit right in with the vibe, right? It doesn't have to match exactly the outfits. You just gotta give the vibe, and it will translate to be like, oh, that's just a type of fuzzy hat that
Hmm.
is associated with being in cold, therefore Hoth, right?
Um,
So I think it'd be really fun to do.
yeah,
It'd be really cool to see an army done like that.
that's been calling to me right now. But on the other hand, like with my crate base, I kind of like to have slightly more of a deep cut where I'm like, oh, you don't know what that's from? Oh, you didn't see that? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like to be a dumb nerd with like a deep cut base. Like, oh, this is
How are you doing those bases? Because in my head, I know exactly what I would do, but I'm curious, what is your process for making those crate
it
bases?
it changed a little bit over the years, but was mostly the same. I had some I painted the base dark red, and
Right.
then I put on some kind of like crackle paint, um, which
Oh
is a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
different than how it looks in the film, but it sells it enough where, and then I paint the crackle like a light gray with some like white highlights so that it's mostly gray white on top, but you see these
Hmm.
little slivers of red in it, and then um
Have you
where
tried
needed
using
I
something more like a texture paste?
I no, maybe.
So let me grab a base. I have a Legion base nearby. I have a Shatterpoint base nearby. We're gonna try something because I'm
I,
curious now if this works.
I use like the different texture stuff on my Shatterpoint bases a lot to like, because that's really effective at covering up the existing like sculpting on there.
Hmm.
Um, but for Legion, since those are always flat, I would just use that. I think it was like Citadel, Agrellan Earth, or whatever. One of those ones that kind of looks like a cracked up desert when it dries.
I'm just kind of curious, does this work? That we're talking about. Like if you spread this on, imagine that the plastic was painted red, though,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And then this will give you that salt look, right? Because there's like actual little textures. I'm going to convince you to rebase your whole army.
Maybe. I don't want to like.
Don't worry, I have to rebase all three. I have three fully painted ATSTs,
Well,
and I have to rebase them because when I painted those, I did not have an actual fully formed Empire army. And now I have a fully formed Empire army, and I have codified my bases, and they do not fit. So they have to be ripped off their bases and completely redone.
so what
So
I'm
this is the
thinking,
course. And then you take a paintbrush.
I'd have to like re-look at the source material, but uh that to my eye almost looks too rough for what my brain
I
thinks
think
crate looks like.
I think this is just the rough stuff. There's
Okay.
a thinner version. Let's try the thinner version because
It's
I
like it
think
is
you're
like a
right.
salt flat, it's even at like especially at like this, tiny scale, a lot of the texture it comes across very flat with occasional like uh
Kids never
disturbances
rip your
or
plastic directly off the base.
what?
I said kids never rip your plastic directly off the sprues. Like I just ripped it right off the sprue.
Just
This
bite
is
it.
more the texture you want.
Sprue clippers, more like just that's what teeth are for.
No, don't do that. Oh man, I used to hobby with a dude who refused to buy hobby clippers, and he used toenail clippers, and it drove me crazy. And then I found out that they were his actual toenail clippers that he also used for his toes, and it had bothered me so terribly bad. So see, that's more the texture you want. And then if you take a wet brush, a little bit better there. I dug into a crack, that's why. And then it'll expose that red, right? That might work.
Yeah, what is that basing stuff?
So it's just called well, let's get the right one. That's the coarse. This is the fine. So this is just a base texture from Monument.
Oh, okay.
It's just a grit. It's literally just a paste grit, and you just spread it out. This is what I use on all my bases. But I think if you did that and then let this dry, I'm going to do a test of this. Like I'm going to actually paint a red base and try this out.
I'll try
You just
find
gave me
some
you just gave me a hobby blog to write, and then you just open that up and expose the red underneath. You
yeah,
take a
the
toothpick.
you know what I was saying with how I did it back in the day with the crackle that like as it dried revealed the red under it, which
Yeah, that
is
that feels more like lava though, right?
it doesn't look like lava when the the surface is nearly white.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The color helps sell the effect.
Hmm. But also like it doesn't really, it's like, oh, it doesn't actually look like that either in the movie where it's got that much like crackle going on. So maybe coming up with a new method for doing it will reinvigorate my interest in
I'm gonna test
sticking
it
with the
out.
crate
I'm
base.
actually gonna take a couple of bases and prime them and try it out. I'll send you pictures of my test when I do it.
I need to find some good red crystals because just sticking those in here and there would make a kind of play into that pretty well too.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you could even use the Shadow Point rocks, just painted red.
Oh, true. I already painted
Wouldn't
mine though.
wouldn't look terrible, even though they're hexagons. Like it would still, I think, help sell the effect. Um, what else would be good for crystals? You could use real rocks. I use real rocks a lot. I have a whole box of my favorite basing material is so I took my son to Colorado when he was really young, and we went to this uh, what's the word I want to use? Prehistoric site that had fossilized trees, right?
Okay.
These uh these trees are fossilized and stuff like that. And it used to be a lake bed, right? Really amazing stuff. And we went through and he loved it. And we leave the park. And right outside the park is literally like this house on private land. And they said, and they had a sign on the front that said, um, prehistoric clay, $15 a box. And I was like, okay, I gotta know more about, and I'm talking like a trailer, like a mobile home and a sign. So I pull into this driveway, walk around back, and there's a lady sitting in a lawn chair, and there's literally her backyard was just this rock face of prehistoric mud. And for $15, you took a box out of her pile of boxes and took all the prehistoric mud you wanted. And you can slice it open paper thin, and you can find like little leaves or little stick fossilized.
Okay, I was wondering
And
what the appeal was to people who don't need bases for their miniatures.
it's literally you can slice it like paper thin, like it's like hundreds of little layers of mud, and you slice it with a razor blade. And we found leaves, we haven't found a bug yet, but we found leaves and we found sticks. But what I also discovered is that stuff, like I snap it and it makes wonderful material for bases.
Mm.
So any real rocks, um, real tree branches, stuff like that, I use all that stuff
I
for
I
bases.
love that. That almost feels like when you're watching a Star Wars movie or any movie with interesting like practical effects, and you go, "Did you know that thing that was actually like this
Yeah,
weird utensil from this guy's kitchen?" And because the log under my Endor ATSD was just a stick I found outside, and now it's like has more sentimental value because I'm like, oh, I remember going out to because that was the day I was looking for sticks, and there was a rattlesnake right there, and I decided that I've got enough sticks.
oh my gosh.
That was when I
Yeah,
lived in Arizona, and I took a rock for my Rancor. I'm like, and some sand from outside. I'm like, well, Arizona is technically sort of Tatooine, so now I have legit Tatooine sand on this Rancor base for Imperial Assault.
I have a friend who also does measures, and a long time ago, she sent me a little pile of stuff from her hometown. And I don't have very much left, but there's like these little tiny plants. I keep them
Oh,
right
that's
here.
great.
I keep them right here by my desk, and I don't use them very often because it has to be the right project, right? Because I only have like four left out of, so like, I'm like, when the right project comes out, I dig out these little plants and I put it on there. Uh, and just any like little weird thing. If I'm walking along, I found a big like heavy industrial lug nut once, and I was just walking down the street and I found a big lug nut, put it in my pocket. It's over in my drawer for someday that'll be a plinth for a miniature for like a display thing or like a competition piece.
Oh,
Like
sure.
I want it's just a big old chunky rusty lug nut, and I'm gonna leave it rusty. I'm gonna seal it, right? So people don't get their hands dirty. But I'm gonna seal it and then I'll put a miniature on top of it because I just found it and it looked cool.
Yeah, the other one is all of my Endor, like my Ewoks for Cheddar Point and Legion. I ended up using a Italian seasoning for like basing material because it
Oh
made a
yeah,
good like
yeah.
forest floor, and then they smelled really good for a while.
You gotta have your pile of sticks as you have, because you never know when you need a jar of sticks. The one thing I do is bake them though. I put them in the oven for a little bit to
Oh
like in
yeah,
case.
I do remember I did that with because people were like, "You should bake it so you don't like have a bug or something."
Yeah, yeah. You don't want anything in there alive and starts rotting the wood or the plant material. So you gotta bake it out.
Cool. Well, any other let's see. So you've been working. Luke Skywalker is your number one in progress project right now.
No. Stuff
Is
I can't show is my number one
oh,
secret project right
can you
now.
show like a silhouette, like a Who's That Pokemon kind of thing?
No, can't do that. Ross would kill me. Ross would kill me. No, Luke Skywalker, yeah, I want to get him painted, but I also have this Empire army I'm working on. So I need to get that done. And I need to rebase these ATSTs for Legion. Like it's just like I said, I put on my base. I painted three ATSTs before ever being like I'm painting a whole Empire army.
Sure.
I just don't care. I want three ATSTs because the ATSTs are just rad, right?
So do
Um,
you have to? Are you just going to clip the feet off the base and start with a fresh base, or you have to like scrape stuff off or
oh,
whatever? I don't know what you put on there and how you plan to.
oh,
Re-
should we do that? Do you want to see how I do this?
sure,
Ah,
I am
let's,
curious for. I tend to be like I don't have time for a do over. I it's done. It's done. I got to move on.
I have to redo this base. Like it just does not match at all. It just does not match at all. It's an old style base that I did very quick. So I need a new base. The base is over here. The new base is over here in a trunk. So I'm just gonna. That's how you do it. Here we go. Let me get the camera down a little better for you. There we go. Use some good clippers.
Okay, going.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start cutting it away because I have to get the whole base off, right? So I know I have to rebase this miniature, so the base doesn't matter. So I'm not trying to rescue the base. I'm just trying to preserve the ATST. So whatever happens to the base happens to the base. Oh, 1 foot off.
I assume it was super glue, so it might snap off slightly better than if
Yep,
it were. Oh, well, that was easy.
easy enough. Broke that off, throw it in the trash. I'll clean it. I'll clean this off with a little hobby knife, and then I'll glue it to the new base and totally rebase it.
Do you prefer to? We're gonna have a little bit more questions, and then we might have to call it a night here.
That's
Um,
fine.
I always fully assemble the mini, including putting it to the base. Step one,
Hmm.
and I know a lot of people like to not glue their mini to the base so they can paint the base independently of the mini. My reasoning is, well, what if I want to play with them before it's painted? Do you have a preference or do you always glue them or do you always wait until the last step to put them on the base?
So first off, sir, playing with an unpainted miniature, my Lanta. Whew,
Sometimes when your
just
favorite guy comes out, like, oh, hey, Cat Bane just came
no,
out. I need him. I need to try it.
no, no, no. I've never played with an unpainted miniature. Can't do it. Um, to each their own. No judgment. No judgment.
I
Just that's
tend
my.
not to, but sometimes there is a character cool enough where I just got to know.
You
I
gotta
got to
do what
try
you
it.
gotta do. Just for my own self, I just had a panic attack. Um, I tend to completely build everything and base it. Mainly because I paint the base. I paint I paint like even if I use real sticks, they get primed and they get painted. If I use real rocks, they get primed, they get painted. Because my paint job will tie the look of the miniature because if it's too realistic and too
Right.
hyper realistic, because miniatures are hyper realistic, to me it's a little there's a too much of a disconnect. So I want to treat the basing material as I would a miniature, as a sculpted miniature or
So
sculpted rock.
you put all of your basing material on before you prime.
Yep, yep. So all the like little rocks and the pumice or the sand, everything except for the grass. Like because grass goes on last.
Sure.
Um, but like I get it all built. I get the whole bases done, like you can see on these stormtroopers, right? It's all, everything is based and primed, ready to be painted. Um, I'm also a person, I don't paint in sub-assemblies. Some people do, and some people find it helpful. Like some
Yeah,
people
I
leave the shields off. I
right.
don't leave the shields off.
I don't do that either. If I was going to do it, it would have been with Shock T with leaving her head separate. I'm like, I'm just
Oh,
going to go
sure.
for it and see what happens. And I was fine. Like sometimes I'm like, it would have been easier if I like had easier access to his chest and his gun wasn't right here. But
Yeah,
also I tell myself, well, that part, his gun is covering it, so I don't need to worry about being as precise.
exactly. If my brush can't reach it, you can't see it. It
Yep.
doesn't matter. It's, I mean, until you get into like, until you're painting something like a competition miniature or like a high display miniature, like that little stuff behind the shield or behind a gun or, something, none of that matters, right? You're painting for the tabletop, you're painting for fun, you're painting to relax in the evening. Don't fret over that kind of stuff. It's superfluous and no one's going to notice. Um,
Yeah,
that's my belief.
I also like, you know, when I assemble it and when I actually paint it could be
Mhm.
months apart, so I don't like having them, have to keep
Yeah,
track of more than one piece.
yeah. Oh yeah. Once you get the pieces off and you're like, oh no, I got two pieces and I'm not going to paint this for 3 months. Like, yeah, that's a pain. But yeah, I like getting it all built, and like if my brush can't reach it, you can't see it. Um, I like all my decorations on my base, like all my little rocks, hand sculpted rocks, or stuff I find in kits, right? Like I'll take a rock from one Legion kit and I'll put it in another Legion kit, and then
But yeah, that is a
stuff
great
like that.
benefit to not painting everything immediately. Because with Shatterpoint, things came out, and I'm like, wait, I still have this like little doodad, like the low
The
wall
doodads.
from the Republic Commandos that came with Luminara and Barris. The one guy had a
Hmm.
low wall, and I'm like, I don't want this for this guy, and so I gave it to the Chadrafan bounty hunter from the Cad Bane
Oh
box.
yeah,
Because I'm
yeah,
like, oh, now this little guy's like hiding behind this little wall, and like waiting long enough, then you have some of these extra stuff, like the moisture evaporator from the Inquisitor pack. I ended
yep.
up basically uncutting it. It's easy enough to make it look like a not
Oh
sliced
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and having Kit Fisto jumping off of that rather than a dead gore head, I think is what was in the thing.
You
And
got it.
so that's fun when you are like, should have painted this by now. And then like, wait a minute, now I have more tools to make these more unique and fun. Um, you heard it here first. Just wait a year to paint anything. No, paint
That's
more.
not what I said at all. Oh no, my quotes are being taken out of context.
Well, I think that's going to do it for today. I actually really want
Cool.
to do this again sometime and maybe talk more about the creative director side, because like, oh wait, there's all this like art and design and all these other things that I want to know about and talk about too, because just the visual design and the art for Legion and Shatterpoint are so just mind, they're just stunning, like in their own
Thank you.
ways. Obviously very different art designs, and um I there's a lot to talk about with that, and I'd like to talk about that one day. um
Yeah, I
and
would
but
love to talk about that
but
because
for
I can
now,
talk about that forever.
yeah. That's going to do it for now. So, if you have an online presence, tell people where to find you. If you don't, that's probably smart.
Atomic Mass Games, like go check out the website, go check out the games Legion and Shatterpoint, the new starter boxes. I feel like I got the hot ones. This camera, this camera, this camera. Tell the people what's got going on. Um, we got the new Legion starter boxes are coming, so you should check those out.
Yep, I'm
Um,
gonna hopefully go unbox those after dinner tonight and dig into them and see what I like doing unboxing videos with my wife, who enjoys these things but isn't like glued into all the news. So they're,
mhm.
you know, I already know what's in those boxes, but she doesn't. So it'll be
She's
more fun to,
excited.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm still excited, but it's not surprising. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what's in there, but
I hobby with my partner as well, so it's super fun to have somebody to hobby with. Like I'm with you on
yeah,
this.
I'm looking forward to going through the custom commanders with her and be like, okay, we each get one out of these boxes. Let's make our characters, figure out
Uh,
their backstories. I don't care if you never play a game of Legion with me. We're gonna make our own little guys.
did you see our articles we started posting of the custom commanders done
Yeah,
inside the studio?
yeah,
Everybody
they all look so cool. I noticed a lot of for the Imperials, everybody in the studio seemed to like the little face mask.
everybody picked the mask. It was hilarious. I told them not to pick the same head, and we all picked the same head anyways. What do you do? I want to do another one of those articles where we go hard on the conversion, which would be a lot of fun. Like, I mean, hard on the conversion.
Go make a here's the challenge is make a guy and they have to use at least one piece from all four
Yes.
kits.
Yeah.
So you got like
Mm,
a Empire guy with the droidica legs and the
mm.
lightsaber. Just you know, show the sketch out the pieces in like a paper doll thing and give them to a 5-year old. See what they put together, and then
See
you
what they put
assemble it.
together. Yeah. What would you make? And then boom. Yeah. Yeah. Those kids are super, super fun. I've had a lot of fun. Even whenever we get like the test shots, right? Um, the factory shots come in and we have to make sure that they're correct and we have to build them. And immediately I'm just like, I can't even glue them together because I'm like swapping the arms and swapping the heads and I'm like playing with the torsos and the legs. I'm just like, I got this guy. And like, oh, it was so fun. They're just a riot to build.
Yeah, it's gonna be. We'll see how many people can stop with just one because it's like, oh well, I just want to do that again because I saw all those other parts that I could have used
It's
this
just
way.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
that's what got me. I've already built my two Empire and two droid um, and two Jedi. And I'm like, well, but I have an idea for another Jedi and I have an idea for another Empire. So
yeah, and I don't know if they've. I'm not as in tune with the tabletop RPG side of things as I would like to be these days, but I feel like those are going to be like for people who do minis and you know
oh, role
the
playing
Star Wars
games?
RPGs. That's going to be the best way ever
Oh
to
yeah.
make your custom guy that's ever existed before.
Or like the big bad guy at the end of a
Right.
scenario or like whatever. Like there's so many options. Like you can and then add in all the parts that are available just in the line of Legion.
Sure.
And then there's even some Shatterpoint parts that you can swap. Like I used a Legion hand on a Shatterpoint conversion over there. Just it just happened to fit good enough.
But the correct me if I'm wrong, but the Legion guys are like heroic scale. Like their heads and hands are slightly bigger to in proportion, or is that not the case anymore?
So traditionally in Legion, before we took over stewardship of Legion, they were
Hmm.
more the heroic. So the heads were big, the hands are big,
Okay.
the feet were kind of chunky. Um, if you look, especially look at the Anakin that we've shown, the leaping Anakin,
Hmm.
like and stuff moving forward, they're a little more. The heads are a little more realistic. The hands are more realistic. The feet are more realistic. The cloth is a little more stylized. Um, it's not as soft and round as it traditionally has been sculpted.
Sure.
Um, um, you could say that that's a Shatterpoint ishness to it, but they are not treated the same when we philosophically sculpt them. It just looks a little tighter when we do it in hard plastic.
Sure.
There's just a tightness to it. So there's been a little shift in style, but they still feel good next to one another. We didn't want to make them dramatic, but
Right.
there's been a little shift in style.
Yeah. I didn't notice that they were like you know two different things. I've noticed that wow they look amazing, but I wasn't like oh wait a minute is this like no they fit well. I just remembered the when Shatterpoint came out, people were like, well, you could like swap heads and stuff because the heads are about the same size, even if the bodies aren't. But that's not quite true anymore.
not quite true anymore. The style, there's a style and a way that AMG sculpts. Like of course we have our style Bibles, right? Our style guides, and um, those are always evolving. But like it's like how big is a head? How is cloth handled? How are special effects handled? How do we design lightsabers, right? All these things are like things that we discuss and we test and we try out and we see what works, we see what doesn't work, and we're always trying to make it better for the end user, right? The community and the production process, right? If it's easy for the production process, it's always good. So there you can see the style in them. You can see the AMG touch, I think, hopefully, but still feel like a Legion miniature, right? You should feel like
Right.
that's a Legion miniature.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that Luke mini just
He's
see
so
that's one
good,
like
isn't he?
I can't not paint the jacket yellow. It's gonna have to be yellow. Like
Yeah.
maybe I could do like orange, but it'll probably be yellow because it's just such a an iconic look, and I honestly might even make his lightsaber yellow because of the comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then it's like, well, yellow jacket, yellow lightsaber. Maybe that's too much. I think he has the jacket and the yellow lightsaber in the comics at some point, but maybe he gave up the jacket a while back. At that point, I forget.
The jacket's definitely in the comics. I can't remember the color lightsaber
I
in the
think
comics with the
the
jacket. I think
jacket
you might be right.
because the yellow lightsaber shows up post Empire Strikes
Hmm.
Back because I guess the comic authors were like, we can't not have a lightsaber, even though, to be honest, I thought it would be more interesting to have Luke without a lightsaber for a period of
Yeah.
time. But I love yellow lightsabers. So,
Just imagine a black jacket with a flaming skull on the back,
ooh,
though. How sick would that be? A flaming Wookiee skull. Oh my gosh.
or well, I'm gonna have to. I'll have to talk that over with some people. Be like, do we do yellow or do we make it like flames along the bottom and like on the cuffs or
Yeah, biker Luke.
give him a little, give him an earring or maybe a do rag.
Oh yeah. Sculpt a little goatee.
That is tempting because I like some of those are fun and some of them I don't think anyone can ever go too crazy with those. But there are ones where like I wouldn't do that. But I'm glad that somebody did because I got to see it.
Yeah, I can relate that. I wouldn't do it, but I'm glad you did.
Okay, now I do have one other question that's semi related to
Shoot,
because
let's
it
do
came
it.
into my head while we were talking. Um, do you what what does the team, particularly the sculpting team, use for basically reference material when you like, okay, we're gonna do this character. Uh, we need to know what his belt looks like, what his lightsaber hilt looks like, what has he got going on his gauntlets or whatever. What's the process for just figuring out the kind of reference material to make sure you're capturing that?
I mean, we have a wonderful relationship with our partners, our licensing partners. So we actually get references from LFL or um, to 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 sculpt it, right? So we have a good relationship with them. So like any sort of references, like we can usually get directly from them.
That's awesome. That's what I was figuring, but I wanted to check because sometimes
Yeah,
licensing relationships can be weird. But I assume
well,
I
yeah,
assume they want it to be as good as it possibly could be.
you want to be as good as, and we want to be as good as possible. And um, we always try to get as close as we can. Miniatures have a lot of rules, and miniatures in of themselves change your perception of stuff. Um, you know, that's why we don't really go for real likenesses. We go for vibe because likenesses in true miniature scale is really, really tough. So we want to go for more of a vibe and a stylized look, but it should be the likeness of Luke Skywalker. It should be the likeness of Han Solo. It's just a stylized version of it, right? So, um, look at the Shatterpoint art. It's a stylized version of those characters. It's like what would it look like if that was our Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, um, so we always look because miniatures is just a weird thing. Like, if you sculpt a perfect version of me and shrunk it down to the miniature, I wouldn't look like me at all. It just it just wouldn't look like me. Um, and that just has to do with like the a bunch of stuff like with scale, space, um, just the fidelity of things. But we always want to feel like the character and evoke that personality, and that's the biggest goal for us, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think we do a pretty decent job.
Well, you mentioned Han. I think you guys mentioned it that back when the Han box was announced, that Lucasfilm was like, "Wow, this is one of the best Han likenesses we've seen in quite a while."
Mhm.
Because the Han Chewie Rebel Commandos box, that Han is really phenomenal. The face on that one. Um,
And now we got this one. Still work in progress. I'm still painting.
is he going to be screen accurate or custom colors?
I don't know what color. I don't know what color. I haven't really decided. I did paint my Leia screen accurate, like because it was a lot of fun doing like watercolory camouflage patterns.
Yeah, I had fun doing that with the Shatterpoint Endor Leia.
Really thin paint, just kind of just letting little dots just kind of bleed over. Like it looks really, really good. It's a lot of fun to paint.
Cool. Well, we'll see if anybody ends up with a biker gang Luke.
Show me your
Um,
biker gang Lukes.
oh man, we gotta wait until we get Luke on the Tauntaun, because then you can make him like, you make the Tauntaun sort of like Harley Davidson theme or whatever,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like chrome exhaust pipes on the side that don't make
No, his
sense.
horns are
Oh yeah,
chrome.
the
It's
horns
like
can be chrome.
chrome
Yeah.
horns. He's spitting fire out of his nose. Like, why not?
Somebody get on that. It won't be me, but somebody out there should do that.
Yeah. Not gonna be me, but I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Dallas. This has been a lot of fun. We'll have to
Yeah,
do it
of
again
course.
sometime. Um, Maybe I won't have technical issues and we'll both be able to paint at the same time. We'll see what happens. Uh, but this has been great. Any parting wisdom for the folks or anything like that before we say goodbye?
Mm, mm. Paint every day. 15 minutes a day will change your life. And in the immortal words of the wisest man on earth, every day is a good day when you paint.
Perfect. Well, you can be sure to find more uh, painting things from the
Tips and
JodoCast
tricks.
coming soon. We'll be having some Legion and Shatterpoint terrain and all sorts of things coming soon once I start roping Bethany into some of this stuff. But
That's awesome.
yeah, that that'll do it. Thank you so much for joining me, Dallas. And until next time, everybody, paint and play games and that sort of thing.
Do the thing.
Cool.
And scene.
Nice. That was a lot of fun.
That was fun. That was great.